welcome back to Supergrads Cat YouTube channel. I am Neelam Chauhan, an alumnus from IIM Kozhikode. And आज के session में we are discussing CAT preparation strategy and study plan for beginners. So in case you are also targeting and thinking to appear for CAT and have some questions around how you can start your preparation journey and how you can more specifically plan out the preparation for each of the three different sections, then stay tuned because that's exactly what we are discussing today. And to start off, I was thinking just in case some of you are new to this space, we'll quickly start with a glance at the recently updated pattern of CAT, and then we can move on and discuss how you can more specifically prepare for each of the three different sections, right? एग्जाम पैटर्न की अगर बात करें so in the recently updated pattern the entire exam is of a 2 hour duration and you get 40 minutes each for the three different sections which include verbal ability and reading comprehension, logical reasoning and data interpretation, and quantitative ability. And the exam is of course completely in an online mode. So we'll also do a deep dive into कैसे आप plan out कर सकते हो अपना preparation strategy for each of these three sections. We will start off with QA. So QA again, very interesting section in CAT, dreaded by some, loved by some, dreaded mostly by the non-engineering group of students who have some whatever preconceptions made up in their mind because of whatsoever reasons. But let me tell you this, QA can be one of the easiest sections to crack in CAT, and it can also be one of the highest scoring sections for you. And the reason I say this is because QA is the only section in CAT which has a well-defined syllabus. So you know कि क्या पढ़ाई करनी है, कहाँ से question आना है, and you are sorted. It's pretty straightforward. So when you start off with QA, what you can do is make a list of all the topics that you need to cover under QA section, and then you just start preparing with the fundamentals first. My only tip here in this section would be you can maybe you might want to start off with topics that have a greater overall weightage in CAT. For example, you might want to start with algebra or arithmetic or even geometry for that matter. And once you are done with all these sections which have a higher weightage, you can then move on to topics like probability and PNC and numbers, जहाँ से very few questions we get to see in CAT each year. The point that I wanted to highlight here was that when you are starting your QA ka preparation, uh, while you're preparing itself, also make sure you make some kind of a formula book or cheat sheets for that matter that you can refer to later when you start your revision. तो ये काम preparation के time ही कर लो, तो your life will be much easier going forward. Another point is that when you're preparing for QA, your focus shouldn't be just on doing a question, getting the answer, and then आगे बढ़ गए. That is not the right way to approach QA का preparation. Rather, what you should focus more on is understanding the underlying concept in the question, right? So even when you do a question, आपका answer आ गया, ठीक है, answer आ गया अच्छी बात है, but spend some time with the question, right? Try and figure out some alternative way to do that question. Try and figure out a quicker way to do that question. And where this will help you is when you encounter a similar question in maybe a mock CAT or even in actual CAT, so your overall response time would be greatly reduced for a similar kind of a question. Okay. So moving on to DILR section, questions का अगर बात करें तो questions in this section would be on the lines that you will be given a passage जिसमें you will be given some information and following that would be a set of 3 to 4 questions which you will need to answer on the basis of the information provided to you in the passage. ठीक है. So DILR is also having the reputation among many students of being the most difficult section in CAT. And what I've also observed is that this preconception among students is not essentially because of this section in itself being very difficult, but rather more so because this is a relatively newer territory for many students. And every question in this section is like a new puzzle that you haven't seen before, and that is where that little discomfort stems from. And the best way, in my opinion, to tackle this problem is to develop a familiarity with the different kinds of sets under this section, right? And having this familiarity will not only help you again in reducing the overall response time for the questions, but will also help you in selecting the correct set in a mock exam or in actual CAT for that matter. For example, once you have done enough practice, once you have like done some 300, 400 sets and practiced enough, you'll be in a position to read through a question and take a call. कि ये set doable है मेरे लिए या फिर if this is going to give me a hard time, and which is very important given the limited amount of time that you have in the exam for each section, right? So to start off with this section, my suggestion would be to start with the basics. कोई भी कैट प्रिपरेशन मटेरियल उठा लो, ऑनलाइन सोर्स से, ऑफलाइन सोर्स से, और इवन if you need any help with the material also, you can check our website. Supercats has launched some introductory courses, जिसमें along with classes, you are also provided with preparation material. So start with any material that you have access to and start with the basic level का modules. ठीक है, so get familiar with the different types of questions and the different topics, different kinds of puzzles. Once you are done with the basics, then you gradually increase the difficulty level to moderate and then to difficult. And once you are done with advanced level modules, then is the time when you move on to maybe sectional tests for LRDI or even previous year papers and mock tests essentially. So this is how you can plan out your LRDI section. टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स का बात करें अगर, तो मेरे एंड से देयर वुड बी दिस सजेशन कि सिंस एलआरडीआई सेक्शन इज अ रिलेटिवली ओपन एंडेड सेक्शन, so it's very important to keep a clear and calm mindset while attempting any set in the exam also or in mock exams also, mock tests also. ठीक है, एंड ऑल्सो डू नॉट कैरी एनी बैगेज विथ यू इन योर हेड कि यार 4 दिन पहले ये सेट किया था, सिमिलर सेट किया था, उसमें ऐसा सो एंड सो assumption था, so I'll solve this question also with a similar assumption. So that does not have to be the case necessarily. So 2 points essentially: do not carry any baggage with you, do not make any assumptions by yourself which is not stated in the question, and keep a clear and calm mindset while attempting any set. So finally, coming to the VARC section in CAT, which is the reading comprehension and verbal ability section. This includes essentially three parts that are comprehension, vocabulary, and grammar. And what we have observed lately is also that CAT has gone really heavy on comprehension part. For example, if you pick up any previous year paper and see, you'll see के 4 reading comprehensions है, which amounts to around 16 questions. So more than 70-75% of the paper is directly based on comprehension, right? And even in VA section, if you look at some of the question types, for example, parajumbles. So these are also nothing but a twisted form of reading comprehension, right? So obviously you have to really focus on comprehension for English preparation and of course grammar and vocabulary as well. And all these three skills, in my opinion, are not something that you can develop overnight. So you really need to have that patience and consistency while you are preparing for English section in CAT. My suggestion here would be if you are just starting off, you need to, really exercise your mind in that manner, and you can try reading different articles from reputed newspapers, or maybe pick up some books of your choice that you can start off your preparation with. Try and start by reading 3 RCs every day, and then you can gradually increase the number as the exam approaches. Tips and tricks from my end in this section would be: number one, you should rely more on previous year papers and strictly stick to CAT pattern. Reading random articles from random sources would not really help that much. If you want, you can also refer to a previous video in this series, which is taken by Shruti ma'am, where she has suggested some really good books and resources, and you can pick up some books from there and start off your preparation. Number two, my suggestion would be that while you are reading any passage or while you are reading any article for that matter, you should try and focus more on what the author is trying to convey and not just the speed of reading. Your speed of reading should be, in fact, a byproduct of your practice, the amount of practice that you have put in, but it should never be the main objective of your practice, right? Make sense? Okay, so before we finally conclude today's session, let's also have a quick look at some of the very frequently asked questions that students often come to us with. Students basically who are just starting their CAT preparation. And the first very important question being कि मैम सेल्फ स्टडी कर ले कि कोचिंग ज्वाइन करना चाहिए, which one is better, etc. etc. So honestly, I don't have a one size fits all solution here. The only insight I can give here is that coaching largely helps you in keeping your preparation structured, in the sense that it gives you the kind of discipline and the kind of regularity that you need to have to prepare for an exam like CAT. It also makes sure that you cover the entire syllabus comprehensively and you have all the resources in one place, right? So that is where taking a coaching largely helps. But in case you feel that you will be able to have the discipline and have that kind of regularity by yourself, you can also very well self prepare or do self preparation for CAT as well. Okay, moving on to the next question, which is how much time is enough? So again, the answer to this question would largely depend on your individual personal situation. For example, if you are still in your graduation year or still in college, you might be able to devote significant amount of time for your preparation. However, on the other hand, if you are a working professional, it might not be possible to devote that much time and be that consistent with your preparation, right? So, to give a fair idea around that, I would say that if you are able to, devote some 4 to 5 hours of your time every day for CAT preparation, it should not take more than 6 months to cover the entire syllabus and practice different sets of questions and give mock tests and so on and so forth. Finally, the last very important question that I wanted to discuss and students often keep asking is ये प्रोफाइल बिल्डिंग कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है और कब करना चाहिए और कैसे करना चाहिए. So to answer that again, different answers for different people in different situations. Agar if you are still in your graduation year and still have some time to spare, so you can definitely spend some of your time, devote some amount of time to activities that will help you make your resume stronger. For example, college में हो अगर तो you can be or participate in some clubs or some committees or maybe get associated with an NGO, or it can be even as simple as picking up a hobby that you can, talk about in your interview. On the other hand, अगर इतना time नहीं है available for whatsoever reasons, for example, preparation late start किया है, only have a few months for the exam. So my suggestion here would be let's first focus on the exam. Let's first aim for a good score in CAT, and then we can use up the time that is available between once the exam is done and the final interviews happen. So we can use up that time to make our resume stronger and build up our profile, right? So with that, I hope this was useful. And if you have any further questions on this, do feel free to reach out to us. And do keep tuning into the channel for other such academic and non-academic videos. And I'll see you next time.